No matter how high-tech, highfalutin, lazy, or foo-foo America gets, we will never stop hunting and fishing. This is the Hunting Quest. Hunting Quest. We take 1 hour of every week and talk about our favorite things in the world, hunting and fishing. You'll get tips and help on the fishing environment locally in the DMV area. Plus, we're going to have fun along the way. This is the Hunting Quest. And now your host, Mike Tippin and Bennett Malin.
Yeehaw!
Yay!
We're back for another one. This one's a little scuffed, but we're gonna struggle puff through it. It'll be all right.
I think we did okay though. I mean, I don't know. It's supposed to be Friday. It's not really though.
No, what are you talking about? It's definitely Friday
Oh,
or a Wednesday, whatever day we upload this. It's that day.
It's that day.
100%.
Awesome.
So we're joined today with Mr. Van Hale of Trophy Outfitters. Mr. Hale, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic and happy to be here today.
Right on. Audio's so much better this time.
That was a struggle the other day.
Oh my goodness. That was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. But hey, technology. You hire smart people, or you have smart people working with you like Benny and co-host and all that wonderful stuff. He gets his stuff figured out.
I don't know if I'd go that far, Mikey. I think you're getting a little too ahead of yourself here.
See,
Let's keep in mind, I just got my name in the intro like 2 weeks ago. All right,
you did.
Let's calm down a little bit.
Well, sir, we, obviously you took the time out of your schedule to talk to us, and
not only once, twice in the same week. So thank you very, very much for putting up with this.
For sure.
We got a little break going, and we're getting ready for antelope season next weekend. So perfect.
Yeah.
Time.
So, first, tell us a little bit about you and your business, and tell us, a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think this is my 41st year of outfitting. Started in 1981. About all I've ever done, and I've been very blessed to do something that I enjoy. And every day I get out of bed, it doesn't feel like a job. I mean, it's work, don't get me wrong. And, there's some days you wish you were doing something else, but for the most part, it's been really good. So anyway, we hunt Arizona and New Mexico. We live on the state line. So we hunt the White Mountains of Arizona and the Hale Mountains of New Mexico. And hunt pretty much all species. Elk, mule deer, coos deer, bear, lion, and antelope. Occasional bighorn sheep when we can get a tag.
Cool. That's wild hunting. Yeah. So, first, we kind of talked about this on, I don't know, take 4,000 on Friday, but we, you and I, we actually met at NWTF, and that's not really your world of people. You got turkeys out there, but you are a big game outfitter. So, and trust me, I've seen, you are a true, mogul in this. You are that person, and a lot of people. You got a great following. You got a lot of people who speak very highly of you. So, but we met and we got to sit down and chat just a little bit. And I'm not the smart one, so the audio kind of got jacked up, and old Benny there couldn't fix it. But
right.
We sat down. What's a typical hunt? Somebody, you and I got to talk about this, but what's a typical hunt for you when you've got people, say, hey, Mike just signed up and we're going to go hunting. What needs to happen, and what can people expect?
Yeah, in this day and age, there's kind of a process. Let's just take elk, for instance. There's two ways to do it. You can, we have landowner tags available where you can just book a hunt and a date and you're going to go. Unfortunately, the cost of those hunts have gone way up just because of the cost of the landowner tags. drove the price way up to supply and demand, so to speak. And then we have the draw hunts in both states, and we do that. So first thing we do is, number one, see what your goals are as far as, what kind of bull you're looking for. And then, we go over the options. We can buy such and such landowner tag. And, it's not high fence. It's just that you're guaranteeing a tag on a particular year, particular date. Or you can get in the draw process and write it out and, hopefully eventually draw that tag and probably come for half the money. But, in this day and age, it's unfortunately the draws are pretty tough. And,
Yeah.
So you just kind of got to figure out, what's going to work for you.
Yeah. I found out just how expensive it is to put in for out of state draw for everything in New Mexico. That was, you and I kind of discussed a little bit about this before this. We won't get into too much of it, but New Mexico is different in the sense that you pay up front, right? You pay your tags up front. And if you put in for every tag for everything, it's, it's like 14. Yeah. It's like $14,000. So.
And that's good and bad. There's two ways to look at it. How many people are going to put 15 grand on their card and write it out? The upside to that is I think less people would apply than, like, say for Arizona, it's only $10 a species. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to apply, and then they don't charge you card unless you draw. So there's two ways to look at it. I think your draws are better on New Mexico, far as because maybe a lot of guys don't want to put that much money on their card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends. There's two ways to look at it. Of course, everybody wants to put in. They don't want to have to put up $14,000. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, sometimes it's sticker shock, well, I won't even say that. It's that, there's other people that maybe that they didn't know or something, along those lines. Hey, look, you got to front this money. And if you don't, you're too bad, so sad type deal. So that does sit down and you got to kind of say, hey, look, I'm really going to go to New Mexico and I want to target, I don't know, you say a big bull, or, you're going to get an elk, or you're going to get a muley, or, you're very, you're either going to put the 14,000 down, or you're going to really try after one, maybe two species.
Yeah. And, and what I've done is, for a long time, we've had our own little licensing program. We just do ourselves for Arizona and New Mexico only. And honestly, most guys are putting in for elk, maybe mule deer, and maybe they'll kick in for bighorn sheep in Arizona because it's not so expensive to do it, just for the heck of it. But if you do both states, let's just say for elk, you got about, by the time it's all said and done, you might have $1,200 in it or something, and you're going to get most all that back, except for Arizona makes you buy a non-resident hunting license. So you can do both states for elk every year for about the cost of $200 that you're not going to recover.
Yeah. And I think that's worthwhile.
That's doable. That's doable.
Yeah. And it's important for people to know what that entails too. That $200, goes to fund conservation efforts. The $200 is, not just money that's getting spent on somebody's road somewhere that you're never going to drive on. It's to help protect the resources that, that we truly love and we enjoy. And, that's kind of, quote unquote, the cost of doing business, if you're going to be a hunter. So I think that's worthwhile. I really do.
Well, for the quality elk that we have in this day and age versus the cost of a landowner tag, it's certainly worth, the $200 a year, in my opinion, for the opportunity to maybe draw one of those tags. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so people get, they sign up and they, say they go the route and they get drawn, what can they expect from that point forward?
Yeah. So, like if they, I've been doing it for 40 years. If you hunt with me, first of all, we're going to notify you, hey, guess what? You drew an Arizona elk tag or New Mexico elk tag, and we're going to be all excited. They're going to be all excited, and then the next step is, then we go like, okay, what's your goals, what's your physical capabilities, then we're going to look at the unit that you drew and start putting a game plan together. And the great thing is, we usually have 6-8 months to do that, and by the time you arrive at our camp, we have it pretty well figured out what we're going to do, where we're going to hunt, and so forth.
All right. And what's the camp? Obviously you got accommodations.
Yeah. So we have there again, we have 2 ways to go. So our lodge is first class. And
I've heard.
If you have a lodge, or having prime rib, but it's not that you're not going to hunt hard because you are. It's just that we can have a nice lodge because you can drive to it, and our ranches are within 15-20 minutes of the lodge. So it makes a really great hunt. You can have a really bad day for whatever reason out there, the weather, whatever, and come back, get a hot meal, good shower, and a good night's rest, and start over the next day. But we also do the pack-in wilderness hunts. Of course, those are mostly all draw, and we figure that out ahead of time. That's a hunt that you would want to go do, and so that's what we apply you for. And in that case, we're going to pack you, all your gear, everything in, 15, 20 miles, and we're going to be living in wall tents out there and eating freeze-dried meals and so forth. So it's totally 2 different types of hunts that we do. And there's people that like to do both. There's the guys that dreamed of doing the horseback hunt their whole life, and they want to get packed in, and then there you have the other guys that maybe been there, done that, and they want to concentrate more on a private land situation and a big bull.
I get it. I get both sides of that one.
Yeah, I do too. So we do both.
Benny?
The only thing I'm wondering is if their lodge is serving prime rib, why am I sitting in a hotel room doing this podcast? Why do we not fly out there for this? What are we doing here? We messed up.
No, the reason we do prime rib, we figured out, is cheaper than doing steaks because there's always prime rib left over, and the next day we can have French dips for lunch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there
God.
You go.
Oh God.
You got the only one. It's the only hunting camp that you go to, and you eat like you eat 5-star meals every day. And you leave camp not fat because you're eating junk. It's because you've been eating way too good.
And ate way too much.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Oh God.
So, so now people, they've drawn, and I can say, well, Benny, I got to ask you, which one are you? Are you a walk in, and are you more of a landowner type hunt?
Well, I really enjoy the pack-in horseback hunts still in this day and age more than I do the lodge hunt. But realistically, I don't get to do as much as I used to because if I leave the lodge, I'm kind of in charge
Yeah,
and all that. So it's hard for me to do the pack-in hunts. But like year before last, I spent 60 days in the wilderness horseback, and I loved every second of it. But it's hard for me to do that in this day and age. And now there's only a few units that you can really do that in. That you don't pack in 15 miles and you come out the other side to a road, and so there's just like Unit 16B, the wilderness itself is probably the best one to do that in, where you can literally ride in there and get away from people and not see anybody for a week. But it's harder and harder in this day and age to do that. There's been a lot of burns in those forests, and the government trails and stuff. The access to get in the horseback is terrible. So unless you're willing, that's what we do. We go in ahead of time, kind of chop our own trails, find out where the elk are at, and figure out where we want to be. And then, it's a big effort. So
yeah.
You also have to have the right client, because everybody wants to do that, but after about 3 days, some people don't want to do it. and then you're just kind of stuck, you got to finish it.
You ever get people who are like, nope, I'm done. I'm going home.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it was 2 years ago. I had a guy in there, and he, he's just so far over his head. It was miserable for both of us, just because the country's rough. He couldn't really ride very good, and we just struggled. So that's what I would tell most people. If you want to do that kind of hunt, make sure, number one, you talk to me, and we really figure out if that is the hunt, for you. Because
Oh no! Don't tell me it dropped him. Oh no, he's still there.
I first,
There he is. He's back.
So now if we get getting down to it, a couple of things that you and I kind of talked about ahead of time, or while we were at NWTF, and these are kind of questions of the new today age,
Yeah.
and there's the technology that we have with with our guns and with the suppressors and with the scopes and those the optics. You're seeing people take 700 to 1,000 yard shots on bull elk that
Right.
are suppressed, and they never know what hit them. And I've been told you pull the trigger until the elk goes down, and I struggle with that. I have a hard time with it, but that's just a personal issue, I guess.
Well, as an outfitter, we do too. As you guys well know, in this day and age, you don't have to be, a sniper to shoot 600-700 yards.
Yeah.
The problem with that is most guys, yes, they can hit the elk at 6, 7, 8, 900 yards, but where are they going to hit it? I mean, are they really that proficient? With that gun, they can call their shot and put it in the kill zone. I'm going to say 60 to 70% of them can't. And you get in these big giant canyons, you got a bull across there at 800 yards, and you start shooting at him. And yeah, you might have hit him, but maybe you didn't. You're not for sure. The bull tops out, goes over the ridge. How many of those guys are actually going to walk all the way across there? It might take you 2 hours, literally, through the dead. And see if they even actually hit the bull, because he didn't go down.
Right.
And that's my big problem with it. We take some long range hunters, but I'm still working for 300 yards and less if possible. Some of those giant canyons, maybe all you can get is 500 because you get on the same side with them, you can't see them. And it's really a hard call in this day and age. What I don't like about it is I figure our quality has went way down since these long range rifles have come out. Because the bulls that used to get away at 500, 600, 700 yards, they don't. Yeah. And even if they don't go down right away, like I was saying earlier, maybe they got shot, in the butt or somewhere it wasn't lethal immediately. But then they go off the guy, and then the guy goes shoots another bull.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, it's a catch-22, because if we go down on that stuff, then we're going down on, rifles or rifle hunting in general.
Yep.
And we have enough hurdles with antis to fight amongst each other.
I agree, and it's a slippery slope for sure. And
it is.
but it's one that you and I had a conversation about, and it was a good conversation. Most people that I have that conversation with are, oh, what are you, anti-gun? And that's not what I just like, people that, if you can make an argument one way or the other, great. I just want to hear it. And when you and I had that conversation, it's probably the best way to look at it ever. And I said, that's why, I was really glad that you were willing to have this conversation.
I have some clients that I have confidence in that hunted with me that can kill a bull at 700 yards, and they can put it where they say they're going to.
Yeah.
But that's more of a rarity than not. And, the problem is, while you're trying to get to 200 or 300 yards, somebody's shooting at your bull from 7.
Yeah.
We're talking public ground stuff.
Right.
And it just makes it really tough. And so it is a really hard subject. But I just know for a fact, I've been in this 40 years since all this long range stuff come out. We've had all these giant fires out here in New Mexico, Arizona, wherever.
Yeah.
So that those big giant hillsides have opened up. You can see those bulls at 7, 8, 900 yards. And like I say, that top end every year is just getting hammered. And, so instead of going out there and seeing 350 bulls, 360 bulls, you're seeing a lot more 310, 320 type bulls. And, because that top end just gets shot.
Well, I can tell you,
Yeah.
I can tell you, as I'm one of those people. I love to hunt, and that what I tell a lot of people who've either never been hunting or maybe anti-hunting or whatever. Hunting has nothing to do is very separate than killing. Harvesting an animal is way different than actually going out and hunting, enjoying the woods. Being out with a guide that knows stuff that you're learning stuff from, or teaching somebody something. Those are what hunting to me, really is about. Being able to share some of that.
I feel like the long range stuff has taken a little bit away, and there's an argument there too, because it is exciting to see a bull draw that's 800 yards, make this awesome shot, and everybody high fives. I get it, but you're taking away that hunting aspect of making that stalk.
Yep.
From a half a mile to 200-300 yards.
Yep.
With a rifle, and so.
Well, do you ever have clients that are like, "Hey, look, I don't want to take this shot."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of guys still from your neck of the woods. They don't have the opportunities to shoot long ways off. So 300 yards for them is a long way.
Yeah.
And like I said, we always try to get as close as we can before we shoot. Yeah,
I like that.
Well, I think a lot of that.
Your chances of success are still better no matter what. And
sure.
Even your follow-up shot, your chances of hitting him again are better. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think a lot of that argument kind of boils down to what your proficiency is. There's MLB players that can throw a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. For me to think that I can step outside right now, grab a baseball, and throw a 104-mile-an-hour fastball down the hallway in this hotel room, right. I'd be smoking crack. I cannot do that. So why would I like you said, on this side of the country, hell, I think the farthest range I know of is like 200 yards.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to go practice 200 yards and then fly out to Arizona and expect to be able to shoot an elk at 700.
Exactly.
It's not even a thought.
Forever, I tell everybody, sight your gun in 1 inch high at 100, and come on, we'll go kill a bull.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that a lot. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So speaking of guns, well, there's two things I really wanted to ask you about. Was if somebody's coming out, what's your preferred gun? What's your preferred caliber?
There's
elk?
so many new ones that are good that aren't as big as we used to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I'm kind of the 30 caliber, maybe even like a 300 Win, 300 Weatherby. I didn't like a 7 mag forever, but since now the new Burger bullets and stuff, they're out killing machines.
Yes, they are.
And for some guy that can handle a bigger gun, I like a 30 caliber Magnum. For a young man or a teenager, maybe a 12, 13, a 270, a 30-06 is still a hell of a good elk gun.
Oh yeah.
And of course you've got all the new calibers mixed in there that are good.
Oh yeah.
But if I had one elk caliber, I'd probably pick a 300 Win mag.
Win over the Weatherby, huh?
Well, I shot a Weatherby my whole life, but realistically, the Win is totally good enough. Usually they don't weigh as much as those Weatherbys.
Yeah.
I started packing mine.
Yeah.
I think I pack a 300 short mag now. But.
That's a good gun. That's a good gun. Yeah, I've got a brand new 300 Weatherby.
Yeah.
But it's on it's one of the Mark V frames that they've got.
Yeah.
So it's super light.
Yeah, super light. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've
got one that's my camp gun that I shot forever, and it's still like my go-to in my closet. Like if some hunter's gonna go down Air, take this one. I know it's gonna kill something.
Yeah. Benny's what are you shooting, Benny? I forgot.
I shoot a 308.
That's
I've never done real big game, but I hunted a lot of whitetail growing up, and I 308 or 30-06. I just like the 308 a little more. I don't know. There's no real reason to it. I mean, killed deer with both multiple times. I don't know. Something about a 308. It's nice and light. Doesn't kick hard.
Yeah.
It works. Never had an issue with it. Why change it?
Yeah.
I've got a little 308 mountain rifle that I keep in my truck for bears, and it's my very favorite bear rifle. It knocks the crap out of a bear in a tree. It doesn't blow them up. And
yep.
Same thing. It's really just, we keep reinventing the wheel on all these calibers and everything. Some of those ones are the best.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because like I've always told people I grew up, my first rifle that I could buy, like besides a 22, but the first one that I could buy that I could hunt with was a 30-06. And it was an old Savage 30-06 on a, black, it was a black plastic frame gun. It's what I could afford, and it's a old, Redfield scope sitting on top of it, and it kicks like a mule. But I can tell people if you've got the right grain for the right animal that you're hunting for, you could probably, there's nothing in North America you can't hunt with an 06,
Absolutely.
So I think that's cool too, but I was so happy to get this Weatherby. I've always wanted to own a Weatherby, so that Mark V came and I was like, that's a hard one to turn down. But they've got like Christensen arms. Have you seen those guys? Carbon fiber barrels, and they weigh 6 pounds.
As we get older, when we're younger, you don't think about that weight so much. But as I've gotten older, I keep going through my pack. Do I really need this? Do I really need that?
I learned.
Here's an excuse to buy a lighter gun,
Oh yeah. I learned it in the military. Ounces make pounds, pounds make pain. And
yeah,
I have lived by that all my life. So speaking of pain, Benny, you're going to be going through some pain here this week, right?
Yeah. I'm not excited for this week.
Benny has a course he's got to go through.
I'm already in pain from this weekend of moving this lumber for these duck blinds. My whole shoulder from carrying those 2x6s, the whole top of my shoulder is just bruised.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad. My shoulder hurts. Travis stabbed himself Saturday.
Travis is a guy who owns he's another outfitter, owns Ramrod Outfitting and works as
Wild
a co-owner.
Valley and up in Saskatchewan for the waterfowl stuff. And we're working on moving lumber down to the marsh for building our duck blinds here in Virginia. And we're sitting there, and he goes over to cut a zip tie off, and he's sitting there, and he goes, "Ow, I just stabbed myself." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Let me see it." And there's just a little bitty red line. And I'm like, "Oh, that's not that bad." And I turn to walk away, like, whatever. We're strapping stuff down, and all of a sudden I hear his girlfriend start screaming, and she's freaking out. And I'm like, "What are you freaking out for?" Like, it wasn't that bad. I turn and look again, and he's got blood just running down his arm. I'm like, "Oh, that's a lot worse than it was when I saw it." I was like, "All right, let's do something about that." Thankfully I had some gauze pads and some Coban wrap and some stuff like that in the truck, and got it kind of pressed and wrapped up tight so it'd quit bleeding. And it was fun. And then we got to go dump all the wood off and go back and get another load and go drop it off, and it was great. So much fun.
Yeah, it's not nearly like cutting in a new trail so you could get your horses down in and go hunt and set up a camp. But those duck blinds are, I give them a lot of credit.
I think it's not the mountain and hilly, but this coming weekend we'll be carrying those boards through the marsh. So you've walked through that marsh, you know how fun that is. So we'll be carrying boards through that, blazing trails through the grass, and then starting to build stuff. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun.
So I got to ask, Van, do you duck hunt at all? I know you're a big fisher.
You
Right.
know, we just don't have that much bird hunting out here. I've been duck hunting a few times and I really enjoy it, but you know, out in Arizona, it's not like something that we all grew up doing, so to speak. You know, we did
Yeah.
a lot of
Well,
dove hunting, quail hunting, stuff like that, but not a lot of duck hunting.
well, they I can tell you, I've I've hunted all my life, and I've deer, I got into deer, I got into turkeys, and I tell you what, I got into ducks and geese, and that just ruined me. It just ruined me. So,
That's
um,
kind of like me with hound dogs. It just gets in your blood, and you just can't get rid of
Oh
it.
yeah.
some,
If you want to start a hobby that you just throw all your money into and you go broke, just start duck hunting. Decide you want to duck hunt.
yeah,
Brutal.
and you will. I mean, you will. I mean, the camouflage for duck hunting's 4 times more expensive than
And then
regular camouflage. So, what was that?
so I said, I believe that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, but camouflage, and you're buying. The nice thing, I think the neat thing about duck hunting is that when you get in a blind, there's a lot of camaraderie there. It's a lot of shooting the breeze and passing time. So if you're with younger hunters, or you're with folks like that, they can kind of enjoy the duck blind a little bit more. They don't have to be as still or anything. Um,
Right.
but I tell you, you put a kid on big game and it changes their world. So now, what's the typical? I think I know this answer, but what's the typical draw time for folks if they're going to go out to, say New Mexico or Arizona? Does one state have a better draw odds than the other? And what's the timeline if they're not buying into a landowner tag? What is it that what kind of timeline should they be kind of estimating with you to say, hey, this is when I get to go fulfill this dream of hunting with Van Hill at Trophy Outfitters, and I'm gonna shoot a 340 bull.
Right. Right. Well, that's a really hard question in this day and age because used to I could tell you for sure, if you get in there and we get you in both states and you give me 3 to 5 years for sure, I'm going to get you a tag somewhere. Now, that there's just so many more people applying for these big game tags. It's a really hard to put your finger on. And the best thing I can tell people is you get in the draws and you keep your fingers crossed, but the key's being consistent. What'll happen, like in Arizona, a lot of guys will get in and they'll start building points and they'll think, okay, by the time I get to 5 points, then I'm actually going to start trying to draw the tag. And when realistically, this year, and this is not a BS story, signed up a guy in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He put in for the very first time in Arizona and drew an Arizona elk tag. That's supposed to be impossible, but he did it. And I tell people that all the time. I've also got guys in there with 12 points that are not getting drawn. So the best thing Arizona will tell you different, and everybody's got a different idea how this draw works. But the best thing I can say is it's more like buying raffle tickets to me than anything else. Every year you buy another ticket. Now your name goes on the hat twice instead of once, so on and so forth. So obviously your odds get better, as time goes by. But nothing saying you only have one ticket in there. You bought one raffle ticket. You went to a drawing and they pull your name out.
Yep.
Happens all the time. So that's what I tell people now. Realistically, most of the time, if there's consistent and you're doing both states, it seems like within 5 years I can get you a tag. Not always. And it also depends on what unit you're applying for.
Right.
Mhm.
If you're really applying only for the units that have the big bulls and the draws are really bad to begin with, it might take longer.
Sure.
If you're willing to go shoot 300, 320 bull, probably get you drawn quicker.
Sure. That
Yeah.
makes sense. But I guess that's 41 years of experience right there talking too.
Well, I used to see when these landowner tags were $250 and you really didn't even need them because I drew everybody I put in for. we used to have the problem. We drew too many guys and wonder what we were going to do. Now we're just struggling to get enough guys to, make our season happen.
That's
So
tough.
the whole thing's changed. And,
Yeah.
it's all supply and demand. Is there enough resource out there to supply all the guys that really want to go hunting?
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
I agree. It's a tough place to be for sure. Now, so, we talked about a little bit about this. This is something that I learned from you. Obviously people put in, the draw for, for archery, they put in a draw for black powder. They put in a draw for a rifle, whatever they're going to draw, try to best odds. And, you would think fewer people are going to put in for archery for an elk or whatever it might be. But you had said that they changed the rules for optics on black powder, or they're going to.
Yeah. So we're talking New Mexico now. So
Right.
for years and years, we've been able to use the modern muzzleloaders with, modern scopes. Realistically, we had those guns dialed in 300 yards.
Yeah.
Even farther if you want to get crazy. And, very accurate. But for some reason, I don't even really know why. New Mexico Game and Fish did away with everything and went back to iron sights on these muzzleloaders. So, that's going to change everything from draw odds to the cost of landowner tags, right on down the line. The problem is with the dates that New Mexico gives you to hunt elk with a muzzleloader are really almost post-rut. So trying to get that elk 100 yards or even 150 yards is going to be tough.
Yeah.
They've already been hunted with a bow for almost a month, so they know what's going on out there. You've had archery hunters all over the water holes, so they're probably hitting that mostly at night instead of daylight hours. So you're not going to really be able to call them because they might answer you still at that time frame. Usually it's like October 15th, somewhere in there, they let you start with a muzzleloader. So they basically are, as soon as a few guns start going off, let's put it this way, they shut up. And now you have bulls that have rutted for a month and a half. They're sore-footed, they're tired. They just kind of go in that dark timber and lay up for a while and kind of heal up, and they're just not out and about a lot. So it's going to be a tough hunt.
Yeah.
Back you could shoot 300 yards with a muzzleloader, you grass him across the canyon and get set up and make a good shot on him, and you got him. But now 100, 150 yards, it's going to be tough.
So what do you think that's going to do for landowner tags for that? You think it'll drop the price?
You can only imagine that it would bring the price down. Landowner tags, as far as the muzzleloader. See, you've got several units in the state of New Mexico that are primitive weapons unit only, meaning either muzzleloader or archery only. No rifle.
Okay.
And those tags have been going primo. I mean, I know this year some of those tags went $12,000-$15,000.
Wow.
And there's some great bulls in some of those units, but now I didn't have one client that told me this year, yeah, I'll sign up to spend that kind of money with an iron sight. One single guy. So, I mean, I would think, of course, after 40 years, I still don't know anything sometimes. That would bring the price of those muzzleloader landowner tags down. I know for me personally, they'll have to come down before I'll buy any to sign up a guy to go, try to kill one with an iron sight.
I cannot imagine. First of all, kudos to anybody who goes out, on a landowner tag to shoot, at 100 to get, 100 to 150 yard shot with the muzzle loader. No iron sights. Whew, good on you, man.
We our oldest generation, we grew up shooting iron sights. They're BB guns. But realistically, with a muzzleloader, they're touchy anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh god, yeah.
Basically, you throw up that sight and 150 yards, you're covering up almost half the elk.
Yep.
If light conditions are low, just before dark or early in the morning, let's face it, half the guys I take are my age or older. We don't see that grade anymore to begin with. So
I'm right there with you.
it's a tough challenge. Yeah, it really is. So we'll just see what happens there.
Yeah, that ought to be interesting.
Yeah, the
But
jury's out.
so I will tell you, we started with this, but on the previous, on the previous episodes that it didn't quite work out. But so I got to tell everybody, and I've got to ask this by a lot of people, and they said, hey, you got to meet Van Hale. I said, yeah, he's a great guy, super nice. And said, what's he like? And I said, man, he's the guy you want in a bar fight. He's the guy that you want in a bar fight there. And that seems to sum you up pretty well. I mean, you get to spend 60 days sitting out in the woods, in the wilderness doing, all kinds of amazing hunts. And you get to take people, quite honestly, for some folks, it'll, be the hunt of a lifetime. And you get to experience that every single day. And you talk about it, you said, hey, some days are harder than others. You get days that are, definitely days where you're like, going in to cut trails. I know how hard that is, and it sucks. And you've got to do it in a manner that nobody's going to get hurt. You got to do it in a manner that your horses aren't going to get hurt. And you got to think about that. There's a lot of things that go into that. What's your thought process in all of this? As obviously having done this for 40 plus years, is there one thing that stands out? Is there one thing that you enjoy more than anything else? Is there, what's it like, at the end of the season, do you sit there and say, man, that was an awesome season, or, man, I could have done this better? Or what's it like being you for a season?
Well, you know what? The great thing about this is we get to do so many different things. So just for instance, next weekend, we're going to go hunt trophy antelope, and we'll do that for a week. And then we get to go do archery elk for 3 weeks. And then we'll do the muzzleloading rifle elk. And then we'll do late season Arizona rifle elk. And we're not hunting the same, we're making a big move to Arizona over here. And then I get a bear and lion hunt on the Indian reservation from mid-October through we can still hunt now through August. So I'm hunting bear and lion probably 7 months out of the year. And we just get to go do so many different things. It never gets boring. Every day is like a new adventure. Maybe with a new client, or you can script the day, but you can't script what's going to happen during that day.
Yeah.
So for me, still after 40 years, I still love it. I can't imagine getting out of bed and not going and doing it. I think I wouldn't even know what to do with myself. So knock on wood, I'm still healthy. I still feel good. I can still get around great. How many more years I've got, I don't know, but I'm going to do it until I can't.
There you go. Or they haul you out of the woods. One of the two, right?
Yeah. That's me.
I get that. I get that for sure.
But the greatest enjoyment is, like you said, there's a guy that it's a hunt of a lifetime for him, and it actually comes together. And how many times have I cried, or they cried, or it's just it's an emotional experience that you wouldn't think it would be like, but it really is. It can be.
Yeah. I think that's I talk about this a lot, and having met Benny, he's a guide for ducks, and Travis he's a guide, and I know a lot of guides, and people sit there and I've had this asked me a million times, Mike, you love hunting, you love fishing, I love both. Benny will tell you, I'll get excited over hooking into a half-pound bass. And just, and the day that's not fun, there's a problem, right? But everybody says, why aren't you a guide? And I sit there and say, you have no idea how hard a good guide works, and I'm not built for that. I'm just not built for that. It's you have to be you have to do more than just like it. It has to be your way of life, and you got to like it, love it more than anything else, because you're getting up and, you're cutting trails, and you're putting the work in a month ahead of time, and you're building the lodge, and you're doing this, and you're fully invested in
Yeah.
everything. Um, it's a hell of a task, and it's a hell of an occupation.
It's so much fun though. But it is, if you're in for it to make a lot of money or anything, you're in it for the wrong reason. I mean,
Yep.
I've done okay at it, done well, been blessed, but really it's not been about that for me. It's been about, this is what I wanted to do with my life, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else, honestly.
Yeah. Now you have kids that are kind of doing the same thing, right? They've doing fishing outfitters and stuff like that, or they
Yeah,
help you
like
out.
my boys have all guided for me or do. My youngest boy, Ethan, he's running Wildman Lake Lodge in Alaska up there. So we're really proud of him. And at 25, that's a pretty big accomplishment, I would think. So, yeah, they're getting ready. They're just finishing up their fishing season, their salmon season. They're getting ready for moose and then brown bear. So we're excited for them. Hopefully, I can spend a little more time up there someday too.
Well, don't do it till after we come out there and go hunting.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be here unless I'm crippled or dead. So.
Yeah, my wife, she kind of, you got to meet her briefly at NWTF. She's the one who kind of keeps me on the rails,
Right.
So yeah, she met y'all, and we met a lot of people, and I think I mentioned this before, but she was like, there are three people who stuck out in her mind. And you were, one of those three. So, your outfit is top notch. You've got so much going on, and, you've got a brand and a loyal following. This is just going to be cool. I was doing first, I'm not trying to end the podcast. I just think it's amazing that I got an opportunity to get you on here through all the struggles. Benny got it figured out, and we got everything good to go. But, this has been, I can't thank you enough for, first, sticking with us to get it squared away, but giving us the time. It's just been awesome, man. This has been so cool.
I've really enjoyed it. I'm probably need to do more of this kind of stuff, but I've always been so busy, and I just kind of blew it off. But I really enjoyed talking with you guys for sure.
Well, you're welcome anytime. We will certainly make the time for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, sometime I'll get on here and tell you about all the bear and lion hunts we do. It's pretty exciting, pretty crazy on that.
I saw some videos. That's pretty damn impressive. So, and your dogs, what kind of dogs are those?
Yeah, that's a whole nother deal. They're big game hounds that that I bred up through the years, and they're a little bit different than your typical coon hound or whatever.
Yeah.
I call them a big game hound. So I breed a dog that will trail them lion on dry ground, and then that same dog got to be able to hang tough with a mean bear, and it's hard to find a dog that'll do both. And I've been fortunate enough to get this breed line going, and they're double tough dogs for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Benny,
That's just
you saw the video.
That's insane. Yeah, it's nuts. Dogs are badass. And like Mikey said, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting up with our technical difficulties Friday night while we were trying to figure this out. And this has definitely been one of the more enjoyable ones for me to sit and listen to. And I've been kind of quiet and not chiming in because I'm just sitting here thinking about getting out there and getting after it. I think it'd be so fun to do.
I would love to have you guys out with us sometime. So
yeah,
we'll get her going. And anytime you want to do another one of these, just give me a shout.
Absolutely.
Well, I got the okay from the wife to sign up, so that's I will be a customer of yours. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Fantastic.
I say I really love the how you were talking about being there for the memory with that client, and crying with them or being excited and jumping up and down with them or whatever it is. Like as a guide, it's a little bit different waterfowl hunting. It's but you still get, that
Oh yeah,
moment, sharing that moment with the client that's why we do it. It's, it's not for money. If you're in it for the money, you're doing it for the wrong reason. It's your passion, and trying to share that passion with someone else and trying to get them to have the same level of excitement and enthusiasm that you have for it. And man, when it works out and you get it right, there's just something about that. It's a game changer.
it is special for sure.
So last before obviously we don't want to go before I get to ask you this. And you mentioned you're a big fisherman.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what do you fish for? And well, you don't have to tell us where you fish. I mean, I'm pretty
No, I don't
I'm
mind.
pretty strict about keeping my little honey holes. I will say I fished in like somewhere in you know Russia. So
Right.
I don't tell people where I fish. But so you fish, what do you fish
Well,
and
I fish for everything, but for 18 years, I had a company called Marlin Quest down in Old Mexico. So I would take you guys as my clients or elk, and then in the summer I would set up in Mexico. I still have a boat down there, in San Carlos. And I'd take people marlin fishing. So um, believe it or not, some guy from Arizona, a decent marlin fisherman. As a kid, I watched Kurt Gowdy and him marlin fishing. That was just like my dream. I've got to do that.
yep.
And so somehow we did that. I made it to the world championship down there in Cabo twice. It was a heck of an experience. And so I love my deep sea fishing. That being said, I got a bass boat right outside. Any day I got free, I'm trying to catch a bass somewhere, go to Alaska, get a salmon. I just love it all.
That's the way to do it. That is it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Benny laughs at me. I took him to one of my spots that it's the go-to for catching fish, right? So you can catch everything from I don't know, from a half pound bass to I've pulled 6 pounders, 7 pounders out of there. And my wife caught a no joke, and I got the video to prove it. Caught a 14-pound catfish on a freaking crankbait out of there. So it's my little honey hole, and I took Benny there, and he laughed. He laughed so hard. I caught like I don't know. I hooked into this little 1 pound bass, and Benny, I was stoked. I'm reeling this guy in, and yeah, it's great. Benny's like he's like a pound. It's like yeah. If you don't get that excited, man, you should do this. I'm messing with it, but yeah, I'm all about the fishing. So.
Me too. I drive my wife crazy. We go on vacation. The first thing I ask, can we fish there? I ain't going.
we can't fish. I'm not going. So, I'm right there with you though. So I love hunting. I do, and I love all of that aspect of it. But goodness gracious, there's those days, like in Kansas. I was mentioned to a bunch of folks the other day, and it was like I was out in Kansas, and it was like 80 something degrees in the middle of freaking it's like early October, November, or late October, early November. It's like 85 degrees, really like super untypical. But we
Right.
had it for like 3 days in a row. And I'm like, I'm not going to go roast my ass off in that tree stand over there. And, we have a big cow pond on there. And I said, I've never thrown a pole in there. Of course, I've always got a fishing pole with me. And, I went over there. I caught, this third, fourth cast, and monster 4.5 pound bass out of there. I never fished that pond before. So I was like, yeah, that's what this is about.
I hear you.
So it's always nice, and it's, I tell people, if you ever do go out on a game, big game hunt or something, and you decide, hey, you have the option to get a hunting and fishing tag together, do it. I mean, if you tag out early, or you tag out and you've got maybe a day or something left, go fishing. Go out and go fishing. Find a pole and find something. Just go fishing, man. And I've had a lot of people tell me, that's a smart idea. It's $10 add on to the tag or something, to your license or whatever. Go fishing.
For sure. Love it.
All right, Benny. How we doing?
We're right at the mark.
Look at that.
You're getting good at it. You're getting your clock dialed back in.
I am. I was off for a little while. All right. Well, Mr. Van Hale, we are coming to the close of our podcast, but thank you again. How do people get a hold of you? Social media.
Yeah, basically, you can, of course, in this day and age, social media, and just Van Hale or Trophy Outfitters on Facebook,
Okay.
and Trophy Outfitters on Instagram. And we just started a Van Hale YouTube little channel there. We're going to try to put some content in there. And
All right. And Benny will link all of this stuff down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Down up there, and he'll do he's figured out a new thing.
to post more photos and do a YouTube channel. And I guess I'm going to break down and try to do more stuff.
Yeah, that's what Benny's for. You need to hire a Benny, but you can't have
need
this one.
full time. I could just send him all the photos and the videos and let him do it from there. That'd be awesome.
He does a pretty good job of it so far.
Yeah, I'm slowly getting it figured out. Slowly.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that, but we'll talk. Let feel free, reach out to Benny. I'm sure you can figure something out. So
Absolutely. I say if you guys have any questions about anything, just reach out to me.
You bet.
all right, Benny.
Right on. With that being said,
Any
Mr.
last
Hale,
words?
Thank you again.
Hold on. You got any last words for us, Mr. Hale?
No, guys, I just really enjoyed it, and everybody have some good luck in their hunts or fishing this fall, and it's about time to get after it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It is. I can't wait.
And we're
Getting after it.
heading out to New Mexico tomorrow, start scouting for antelope. So we're excited about that.
Lucky.
Oh my god. And I'll be at work, so you can remember that while you're glassing antelope tomorrow.
I'll send you photos.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, thanks.
please do.
Right on, fellas. Mikey, you got anything else?
I'm good, Benny. It's all yours, my friend.
Right on. Well, that's all I got. Mr. Hale, thank you again. Mikey, good talking to you as always. And we'll see y'all next week. See ya.
Later.
You've been listening to The Hunting Quest. No matter how crazy, high-tech, or lazy the rest of the country gets, we will always be hunting and fishing. If that's you, you've found your new family. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. Reach out to us by email at info@thehuntingquest.com. And check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hunting Quest. See you next time.